So, as cadets, were you all treated any differently than the other soldiers that were there? Hey, what's up, guys? I'm super excited about this episode. These two guys that I'm gonna be talking to in this episode, they are two fellow cadets of mine that just graduated from air assault school. I can't wait for you to hear their experience and their story because they went in two different locations. So that'll be fun. And like I said, they just graduated, so they'll be able to provide some updated tips, tricks, strategies, what you need to bring outside of the packing list. I went back in 2018 when I was stationed at Fort Campbell with the 101st Airborne Division. But these guys, like I keep saying, they just graduated and they're cadets. So whether you are a soldier about to go through air assault school or a cadet about to go through air assault school and get those coveted air assault wings, this video right here will hopefully provide some value to you. But with that said, let's jump right into it. There they are. What's up, fellas?
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
So, Yak and Horn, go ahead and introduce yourselves. You guys look amazing. Y'all are legends.
So I'm Ryan Yakari, but everybody calls me Yak.
And I'm Cameron Horn, and most people just call me Cam.
First of all, as cadets, how did you get an opportunity or a chance to go to air assault school?
Go ahead.
All right. So majority of the time they have a ranking system in cadet land or ROTC. And so you rank according to based on extracurricular activities you do or GPA or what you score on a PT test. It kind of ranks you and they rack and stack you. And then based on where you rank on that list, they kind of set you up to be in a certain location. So if you're high enough on the list, you'll get different opportunities like air assault school. Sometimes people get airborne or mountain, but it's a bunch of different opportunities and it's pretty competitive.
So in other words, you guys are just awesome. Y'all are studs. Y'all are at the top of that list.
I don't know.
So I know you guys aren't going to brag on yourselves, but I will. I will say just working with you guys for the years that I've been at Liberty, you guys are stellar, exceptional cadets. Cadet Horn, you were prior service, right?
Yes, I was in the Virginia National Guard.
Okay, cool. So where did you guys go to air assault school? Because I'm understanding that you guys didn't go together. Y'all didn't even go to the same location. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I went to West Point at the military academy there in New York. I was there from June 26th to July 10th.
So I actually went to South Alaska Air Assault School at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and I got there on the 6th of July, and then I graduated the 23rd of July. So it wasn't too bad. I was going there right after Fort Knox, had some training there for cadet summer training. So great opportunity, great experience, absolutely loved it. And, being at the home of the 101st was probably like the best part for me because you got to interact with the soldiers that were actually part of the unit. So it was pretty awesome.
So as cadets, were you all treated any differently than the other soldiers that were there?
I mean, at first it was a little interesting. Most people didn't even know who or what we were because, we wear the dot on our chest. So people are like, what the heck is that?
So let's talk about the dreaded packing list for a little bit. that the packing list is probably the most nerve-wracking. I can speak for myself. The most nerve-wracking part about air assault school. But what was it like for you guys? What did you bring other than the packing list itself? Because I know that's going to continue to update, so you have to go on the website and check that out. But what, if anything, did you guys bring in addition to the packing list?
So a mentor, you could say, or somebody who already had their air assault wings informed me about the idea of taking extra dog tags with me because he needed an extra set whenever he went through. So funnily enough, I actually had like 3 sets of my dog tags, and luckily I had the extras because one day, I think it was in rappel phase in phase 3, I actually found my short dog tag in my boot. So it broke off at
Oh my
some
God.
point. And I found it in my boot later that day. So if they would have inspected me right there, I very easily could have been dropped because it broke. But I know I had 2 other sets in my ruck if I couldn't have found that short chain or something like that. So I definitely made sure I had extra dog tags. And beyond the packing list, it is super important to bring more socks and more t-shirts because you burn through those like crazy.
I'm the one that lost my small dog tag chain, and I actually got dropped back in 2018, and it haunted me. It haunted me because I had to go back and explain that. Like, how did you get dropped? We sent you to the school. How did you get dropped? Because of some dog tags. So the next time I went, thank God I was stationed in Fort Campbell, right? Yeah. And they had slots, and they believed in me. I had great leadership. They believed in me. They were like, all right, he's going to get it done. This was just a fluke. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pack some extra dog tags. So that's a really good point and a good tip, Yak. Thanks for sharing that. All right, let's go to you, Horn.
Yeah, so some of the extra things, like he was saying, I brought a bunch of extra. I had 3 pairs of dog tags. I also had extra chains because I heard your story and I was like, oh man, I gotta be on it. So I had that, and then there were a few other things like batteries. You can never have too many, especially if they go to inspect that. You might have one pop out of your bag or here or there, so you might want to have those in reserve. So like I had a bunch of stuff in the where we were at. We were staying in a hotel, so I had like a bunch of stuff out on my table that was there, extra stuff, whether it be batteries, duct tape, masking tape. Dog tags. I had like everything situated. I had extra. I pretty much went to a copy machine and copied out extra copies of all my documents and all my forms, so that if one got wet, I had another one. The biggest thing I would say personally that helped me was Ziploc bags. So they on the packing list initially they have you bring 1 Ziploc bag, but I brought like 20, and it really helped me at the end of the day because it's like you take those gallon Ziploc bags and like the small stuff that you have, you just put it in there. So it's like you kind of categorize it. So it was like my iPro, my tan t-shirt, my socks, I would put in one bag because they were kind of like similar things. And then like the next Ziploc bag would be, my aerosol handbook and my documents. The next one would be like, what was it? I had a smaller one, like a quart size bag, and it had like my red lens, my batteries, my dog tags, pen, pencils, a notebook. It pretty much allowed me to take the like 30 different items you have in your ruck and turn it into like 5. So you had like the stuff in the wet weather bag, and then you had your 5 little Ziploc gallon bags, and they had everything that you just shove in your sustainment pouch. And at the end of the day, when you'd come back or when you'd be there, they'd be like, hey, lift up your red lens. And I knew immediately where it was. It's like, oh, it's in the quart size Ziploc bag. Grab it and show them. So it was a lot easier, and you're not one of those people that's like dumping their ruck out trying to find it, or they lose something. You don't have to worry about, like, it's harder to lose a gallon size bag than it is to lose a set of dog tags.
All right, go ahead and drive the ship, Yak. Tell about your West Point experience. What was the most challenging part in your opinion?
So the most challenging part for me actually came before day 0 ever happened. So I would just sum it up in the sense of I had to really learn how to trust God through that time, because on my travel day on the 26th of June, I picked up food poisoning from airport tacos. And so what happened was I was sick that whole night. We had in processing until that Tuesday. So that was Saturday. Sunday, still sick. Monday, I developed what's like common with, I guess, you get after food poisoning, is gastritis, which is essentially like the inflammation of your guts and stuff. So it was super painful for like me to even be walking. And I was just hammering Gatorade and Pepsid. I mean, like it was candy. But that was the most difficult part for me. The night before, I had 2 apples for dinner that the doctor had given to me, because I ended up going to the hospital because it was the only thing open on West Point's campus for any kind of medical treatment. The medics weren't in because I can't tell you why, but that was Monday night. I was laying in the hospital on an IV with IV Pepsid. I mean, I went to sleep. I had 5 hours of sleep that night because we woke up at 03:30. the 2 apples the night before and a quarter of a Gatorade were my dinner. And I had not been eating much the whole entire time up to that. So I was sweating going into day 0, really not confident, but I really had the option of go give it your best or get dropped. So I wasn't about to go the whole way and just get dropped right away. But I can honestly say that all those things, it seemed like they were stacked against me and that I really didn't have a way out. But I mean, God definitely proved his faithfulness to me there and allowed me to complete day 0 and allowed me from there to do the rest of it. But nonetheless, if I wouldn't have been healed at the end of the day, he's still God. So it doesn't really matter what my intentions were, but I just think that it was a great learning experience for me to see, like, hey, God's in control of this situation, even though it doesn't seem like anything's going to go right from here on. So that's a little bit of an atypical air assault experience. But I would just, for the typical air assault experience, whenever I actually got there, the toughest part probably would have just been like the mental agility to stay on top of everything. I was very paranoid about everything in my ruck. So I would take a pair of socks out maybe from a sustainment pouch, and I'd be unpacking the whole thing in the main compartment of the ruck. I'd be looking for everything. Once again, it's just the idea of the attention to detail, and that's what's going to get you there. So
I would say the most challenging is getting over the fear of different things. So like when you look at air assault school as a whole, you look at all the phases, right? So you have the first phase, which is like basic helicopter mechanics and weights and all that different kind of stuff. It's like pretty much all the aspects of like the helicopters and just the basic understanding. That wasn't too bad. But like phase 2 is dreaded for sling load operations, and then phase 3 it's not dreaded really, but people say stuff all the time. They're like, oh, phase 2 is the worst. Phase 2 is the worst. Oh, we're scared of phase 2. You gotta watch out for the A22 cargo bag. Like all these things. And so it starts getting in your head and it's a mental game. And so like the hardest thing for me throughout the whole course, like sure, you have days where you're getting smoked or you've got, a test coming up and you're studying, but it's like, as long as you devote yourself to what you have to do and you pay attention in class, you're gonna be fine. But the problem is so many people go around and they're like, oh, well, I failed A22 cargo bag. Everybody, like the A22 cargo bag was the biggest thing people talked about. And then like, I got up there to go do the A22 cargo bag for like practice and stuff. And essentially I sat there and I was like, why is this so complicated for people? Like it's a box and you literally repeat the same thing. Like whatever checks you do on the front for deficiencies, you just literally rinse and repeat on the other side. And you just keep doing that until you get around it. And when we went to go do the Humvee, that was the more challenging one because it's larger and you have less time. You have like the same amount of time, but since it's so big, there's so many things you have to check for. It makes it kind of difficult to get around. You start rushing. And so the biggest thing, the most difficult thing was I would say getting over that, like, rumor of like, hey, you're going to get dropped during phase 2. Like you just had to dedicate your time to whatever you were doing and study hard. That's really what it came up to.
Yeah, I agree, man. I felt in my personal experience that the Humvee was more of a challenge than the A22 cargo bag. Yeah, but I like that. I like that tip. So what you're saying is it's a mental game.
Yep.
Don't let the fears of others be imposed upon you, right? I want to give you all the opportunity to have final words, land this plane, if you will, and just talk about your overall experience at the air assault school. And I don't know, provide some tips, some hope to those soldiers or cadets that may be going.
The tip that I would give is like, whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. For me, it was a little different, being a Christian and all. It's like, I'm trying to do it for the glory of God. So it's like, I would be in the suck and I'd be like, this is terrible. I don't want to do push-ups all day. But I started thinking, I was like, God gave me this body. Let me just do the best I can with what he gave me, and perform for him. And so some of you might not have that motivation, but find something, dig deep and just give it your all.
Nice. Well said. Yak.
So I guess one big thing that I noticed is it pays to be fit. You want to be fit because the standards that they have are not necessarily the hardest, but you definitely don't want to be on the border of what's minimum. right? You definitely want to have that security to say like, oh, I can run 4 miles in well under 36 minutes, for example. And then, it just pays to be fit in that sense. And it also helps because then whenever you are getting smoked and you are one of the fit ones and you're not, sandbagging the reps and stuff, then you don't get called out. They don't call you out by your number on your helmet and they say, hey, aerosol, like, call you out. I was 622, so I never got called out, but like 621 and 623 did. I'll tell you that much for sure. And they got dropped and moved to the back of the formation. But hey, avoid that. Just do what you're supposed to be doing. Another thing I would say is kind of like what Cam was saying. Be okay with making friends, because those are the people who are going to look out for you, and those are the people who are going to help you get through. And ultimately, you're there, to help each other. For example, I had a pretty good friend who ended up pacing me for the 12-mile ruck. And I'll tell you, I rucked 12 miles before that, but I've never rucked that fast. I mean, for the pace that we were going. So we were just able to motivate each other and get each other through that. And it's just one example of the idea of making friends helps. Like, just be willing to put yourself out there and be genuine with other people.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. Special shout out to Horn and Yakari. Those guys are legends. Thank you so much for coming on and providing tips and value to this community, this family that we're building. If you like this video, if you like content like this, give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below. Share this with somebody. And as always, subscribe to be a part of what we're building here. Keep smiling out there and keep leading. And we'll see you next time.